Hello and welcome to the RS Media live podcast, the delayed one from November. Sorry, we've had a few technical issues over the last couple of weeks, so we ain't been able to stream one, but we have some great guests with me tonight. We've got Mike Harneman, Russ Vernon, and Sean Price. So, good evening, Mike. How are you?
Evening, right? Yeah, doing good, thanks, mate. And looking forward to this podcast. Of course, it's delayed from November, as you mentioned, so we've got a lot of great topics to talk about and to cover. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Good evening, Russ. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Right, how are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, thanks. And finally, good evening, Sean. How are you?
Good evening. I'm not too bad, thank you. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. So we've got a lot of talking points to go through. So we'll start off with the sacking of Richie Rellan. Well, it's not the sacking. Richie Rellan's leaving Swindon to go to Salford. The top, so obviously, so this the sacking, well, the appointment of Richie Relans to Salford. So, what's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So, yeah, I think that's a good appointment for Salford City there. Of course, they had a bit of a mixed start to the season, really. They weren't flying and they weren't in any sort of real dangers or any troubles or anything like that. And Richie Wellens there is a half decent manager, really, and I do think that he can get the best out of his players there, and go on a run and challenge for promotion from League Two. So it's a good signing. Of course, Swindon are going to miss him very much so, very badly, but I think that it's a good sign, not signing, I should say, but a good move for him to go there to Salford City.
Yeah, I thought it was a great move for him. I know they were after him for a good while. He is a former teammate of the class of '92, who are part of the co-owners of Salford City. So I think it's a great appointment. What's your thoughts on this, Sean?
Well, when I first looked at it, I was like, who's this guy? Because I don't know much about him because, like, I never seen him play or anything like that. But if it's a good signing and if he gets the results going, then it could pay off. But I mean, sometimes they don't. Sometimes I don't know what his record is at Salford at the moment.
Yeah. And what's your thoughts on this, Russ?
I think it's a good appointment. He did well in his previous job, so I think he'll do well here as well. Right? I think he'll do well doing some good things at the moment, and I think that will continue as well.
Yeah, so the next manager that we're going to talk about is Gary Monk getting sacked from Crystal Palace, getting sacked from Sheffield Wednesday, and they then went and appointed Tony Pulis. So my thoughts on this, firstly, I thought Gary Monk was not the best manager at Sheffield Wednesday. He did try and do his best. I mean, me and Russ know of his style of football from him managing Middlesbrough and Leeds. So I'm going to chuck this out to Russ first.
I think Gary Monk's sacking was right because Wednesday weren't doing that good at this moment in time under him and haven't been for quite a few weeks now. I think if Kev Wayne would have probably been down to League One, but I think Tony Pulis is an appointment to keep them in the division, and I think he'll do well going forward under Pulis as well.
Yep. So, what's your thoughts on this, Sean?
I mean, Gary Monk has been sacked everywhere he's gone, really, hasn't he? Every club that he's been in, like he was doing well at Leeds, and then he signed that 3-year contract, and then he decided to take over Middlesbrough, and that left a bit of taste in in Leeds' mouth, because it was like, why are you leaving us to go to over there? And since then, it's gone horribly wrong for him. So you can't blame the club for sacking him, but Tony Pulis, I don't know if he's the right guy to take over.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So with Tony Pulis, I think he's a very good manager. He's a man manager as well. He gets the best out of players. And he's been there and done it. He's won trophies and he's won promotions and stuff as well. And of course, Sheffield Wednesday at the moment are struggling right down the foot of the table there. They are in plus points now as well, which is good for them with 9 points. And, just hopefully for them, they're able to kind of push up the table a little bit. I know in their last 5, they haven't won. So that's obviously what's the word? Kind of something that needs to be addressed. And the sooner that Tony Pulis is able to do that, the better for them. But he's a good man, a good manager, and wish him luck.
Yeah, so do I. Being 2 former Borough managers there, Gary Monk obviously being one sacked and Tony Pulis taken over. The next one we're going to talk about is John Sheridan leaving Wigan, where he was on a month-to-month contract, to take over at Swindon Town. I mean, I know quite a bit about John Sheridan through his time at Plymouth Argyle. And I think he is a good manager. He just needs to get his head together and get players playing. And I think he will become a good manager for Swindon. Hopefully not when they play Argyle, but hopefully he can get them pushing on and moving up the table. What's your thoughts on this first, Sean?
I don't know much about League Two or who sports like in League Two football, but like you said, if he gets the players playing and gets into his beliefs and all that lot, then good luck to him. You know what I mean? Like League Two is like, everybody disrespects the League Two and League One and all that lot, but there's some still pretty good teams down there that still can put up a good fight.
What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
Yeah, so I think it's a good appointment for Swindon as well. Of course, they are out of the relegation zone as it stands at the moment, on 16 points from 16 games. So, it's a good appointment for them, and hopefully they can push up the table, as you were saying there, and move on and achieve some good things this season. They're a good side, got some good players in their ranks as well. And once again, as I said before, just want to wish him luck, really. And yeah, they're out of the relegation zone at this present moment in time when we're doing this stream. So hopefully they're able to kick on from that and push up the table. Yeah.
And Russ doesn't have a view on this, so that's fine. The next one we'll talk about then is Paul Tisdale joining Bristol Rovers as a result of Ben Garner being sacked from Bristol Rovers. My thoughts on this: Ben Garner's not been doing really well at Bristol Rovers. Paul Tisdale, a very experienced man in the Football League, last managed MK Dons. Before that, he was one of the longest serving managers in the Football League with Exeter City. He is a good man. He's a very good manager. And I really do wish him the best, apart from at the weekend where his side take on Plymouth Argyle, which are my side, as you can see in the camera if you're watching this live on the one of the sites that we're streaming to. But my views on this, I've really rate him really highly, and if Ryan Lowe wasn't ever appointed the manager of Argyle, I would have liked Paul Tisdale, even though there's that bit of rivalry with Exeter. I would still have had him. What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
Yeah, so I really rate Paul Tisdale as a manager as well. I think they're in a very similar situation to that of Swindon. Really, they're both in a similar kind of position in the table. And Paul Tisdale, of course, is a proven manager. He's done it for teams in League Two, as you said there with Exeter. He's got them into playoffs and done things with them in the playoffs as well. So hopefully this is the next step for him in his managerial career, and he's able to push on for the Bristol Rovers side there, and move up the table and get them away from that relegation zone where they are at the moment, just above the drop.
Yep, and Sean and Russ don't have any views on this. The next manager change that we're talking about is the Philip Cocu being sacked from Derby. Wayne Rooney taking interim player manager. My views on this, it's the right thing to do. Philip Cocu, been there 14 months, didn't really do well the start of this season, which is what cost him his job. Obviously now Wayne Rooney's come in as interim player manager. He has decided on giving up some of his playing time due to solely basing his time on being the manager of Derby County, and he has put his name in the hat to be the next permanent manager of Derby County. So I think it could be a good job for him if he does get it permanently, because look at Frank Lampard. He started out at Derby and he did really well with them. So what's your thoughts on this first, Russ? Russ?
Under Cocu, from what I saw of Derby this season, sorry about that, Ray. Under Cocu, they weren't going anywhere. They were losing matches. I could see from watching Fan TV channel that I watched that the fans were losing faith. Players were losing faith as well from when I spoke to Dwayne Holmes on Twitch. So I think it's the right move, and good luck to Rooney in his new role.
What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So I was actually just looking up some stats in regards to this as well with Philip Cocu there. He actually won 65 games whilst he was at Derby, which is even more than Frank Lampard won actually as well. Was it 65? Bear with me. 21 and 65, I should say, which is actually not quite as many as Frank Lampard. Actually, I think it's 3 less, but he had just under 10 games more in charge as well, Cocu there, than what Lampard did. The sort of 1.25 ratio there. I think you have to look at that and say it's the right decision to get rid of him. Of course, Wayne Rooney's in there now, and as the interim manager, and hopefully this is where he's able to take a step away from playing a little bit. And of course, he's got some other ex-players on there as well, Liam Rossinho and Shay Given to help him out a little bit. But looks like Rooney's going to be taking it on by himself, and hopefully that's signs of things to come for Derby, and he's able to get a few wins together and push them up the league, and get them back to challenging for where they should be at the top end of the division.
Yeah, hopefully he can. And what's your views on this, Sean?
Well, you can see the writing was on the wall a couple of weeks ago when they were playing like Forest, like they weren't playing really well. So like when he first got the job, he started really well. It's only gone downhill for him this season because like the players are not playing for him, and this day and age is all about the results business, and if the manager's not doing well, it's time for him to go, and that's as simple as that, really. But good luck to Wayne Rooney on his job in Derby. I hope he does really well.
Yeah, and we all wish him all the best there at Derby.
I've just got a quick question actually about that as well. Just briefly in regards to Wayne Rooney, do you think the fact he's not a Derby legend gives him a little bit less pressure? Like there's certain managers in the Premier League, for example, who can be perceived as being Premier League legends for that club. And the fact he's not done it with Derby, you know, he's a Man U legend and an Everton legend, but he's not a Derby legend. Do you think that gives him less pressure to actually succeed for Derby County?
I think it does. I think it really does, because look at Lampard. Lampard's a Chelsea legend, so he went to Derby and he absolutely succeeded at Derby. You could tell like Lampard's a good manager now because he has that experience. Now Rooney's not a Derby legend, but it could work well for him.
What's your thoughts on this, Russ? Right. The next thing we're going to talk about is Sam Ricketts being sacked from Shrewsbury Town and being replaced by Steve Cotterill. So my view on this is Steve Cotterill is a good manager. Sam Ricketts, I thought he was underestimated at Shrewsbury. I mean, he is a good man and he was a good player and all that when he was playing. And I thought he was probably not given as much time as he could have. So I'm saying it is the right move, even though he wasn't given much time. And he was unfairly trapped, but Steve Cotterill, very experienced man, knows the division really well from his time of managing Bristol City. So I think he can get Shrewsbury out of the rut that they're in. You got any views on this, Sean? Okay, so we'll move on to the next manager. That was Phil Parkinson leaving Sunderland via mutual consent. Andrew Taylor then obviously was the caretaker manager in charge. And then on Saturday, the 5th of December 2020, Lee Johnson was appointed the manager of Sunderland and took charge of their defeat to Wigan on Saturday as well. So, has anyone got any views on this? Go on then, Sean. We'll come to you first.
Well, Sunderland are a massive club in League One, aren't they? They're still I think they're still playing their Premier League wages from the Premier League days. It's baffling how a club like that is in League One. It's really, really, they've really struggled throughout the years. And you know what I mean? I do like Phil Parkinson as a manager. He was manager at Bradford City when they famously knocked us out in the League Cup. So I do feel bad for him that he's left on mutual consent. Now Lee Johnson has experience with Bristol City, so he knows how to get the team playing and all that lot. I just don't think he should have taken charge of the defeat against Wigan. I think he should have taken charge of the next game, and then he could have had his point across a week in training and galvanised the lads and said, right, this is how I want to play. And that's it.
Yeah, my view on this is I think giving that Parkinson hasn't actually done that well in charge of Sunderland since he's been appointed. So I think it is the right decision getting rid of him, but putting Lee Johnson in charge for the first game when you appointed him on the same day, I think is a bit harsh on Lee Johnson, who is a very good experienced manager, managed Bristol City just last season. And he did well on getting them to the League Cup semi-final a few seasons ago. So I think it is the right decision taking Lee Johnson, and I think Lee Johnson will get them moving and will also get them playing. What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So I have to agree with that as well. I think it's too soon to put him in straight away on the back of just being appointed on that day as well. Doesn't know the team, doesn't know anything about the, his best 11 or whatever as well. Hasn't worked with them, hasn't trained with them. So I think it's too soon to put him in. I do rate him as a manager. And I do agree with Sean that Sunderland are a massive club in that division as well. And just hopefully they're able to, get back to the heights where they previously were years ago under a manager that, it's not just him as well. It's a name that everybody knows in football, the Johnsons as well, with Lee and, of course, Gary Johnson as well, his father, who are both exceptional talents. And, everyone's seen Lee, even when he did it with Bristol City as well. He was great for Bristol City. So if he can bring that down to Sunderland, then Sunderland should go on and do well, yeah.
We've just lost Russ there, so we won't get his thoughts on this. So we'll move on to the next segment that we have, and that's talking about a few games. We're going to talk about Arsenal, Man City, Arsenal, Man U, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal v Aston Villa, Liverpool v Leicester, Leeds v Arsenal, Spurs v Man City, Liverpool v Brighton, Arsenal v Wolves, Chelsea v Spurs, and we'll talk about Mo Salah's testing of COVID-19 as well in that spell. So you can have your say on every one of them games, Mike.
Okay.
All right, mate. So the Arsenal Man United first of all, I thought that was a fantastic away performance from Arsenal. Seems so long ago actually now as well. It seems like almost a season ago. In fact, it doesn't seem like about a month or so ago, whatever it was. Seems a lot longer than that. And I think Arsenal were fantastic that day. Went to United, defended really well, resolutely, and got the penalty as well to win the game. And Man United didn't really offer an awful lot, and that game could have been a few more than just a 1-0 as well. And of course, as I said, that seems like ages ago on the back of the other results against Aston Villa, where we were just torn apart at home, conceding that goal after, I think it was about 30 seconds. And then we got lucky with a VAR decision. And we just didn't learn from that. And, Aston Villa just went on and with a dominant force in that game and, well and truly put Arsenal to bed. Ollie Watkins was fantastic for them. Got himself a couple of goals, and Jack Grealish in midfield as well. Ran the show against an Arsenal side that, a little bit out of sorts. And the Leeds game was, very much the same from Arsenal, a little bit. Just a not a great performance again. Nicolas Pepe getting sent off was a bit, stupid of him to do that. You can't argue with that as well. It's a definite red card for what he did there. Doesn't need to go and do that to Alioski. I think it's a bit stupid. It's another couple of points dropped from Arsenal in that one. Man City, Liverpool. That was quite an interesting game. Of course, two good sides that were both up there challenging, and really sort of decent game of football, that one as well. And I thought that could have gone either way. There was a couple of other games in there as well. Spurs and Chelsea, I saw that one. That was a good performance from Chelsea to sort of nullify Spurs on the counter attack. But I don't really want to touch on any of the others. Maybe the Arsenal Wolves game as well, which of course was last weekend, and another defeat for Arsenal. And the pressure's on Mikel Arteta now to try and turn it around. And I know there's quite a few Arsenal fans that are a little bit worried actually with the position of the team at the moment, and where we are in this division. We're closer to the bottom three than we are to the top four, and this is a side that needs to be pushing forward, needs to be challenging top four and Champions League, Europa League football to actually, sort of get the best out of some of these players.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on these games?
Well, the first one was a brilliant. We like Mike said, we absolutely, to a man, we absolutely took the game to Man United. They, like he said, they didn't offer us much. They didn't cause us much of a threat. We nullified them, and then we just got a penalty, and then scored the penalty. But since then, since that win of Man United, it's gone horribly wrong for us. Losing to Villa was very bad performance. Losing to Wolves was even worse. It just seems like every team that comes to play at Arsenal, they sit back and we can attack and attack and attack and attack, and it takes one counter attack and they score from it. The rest of the games, I didn't watch much of them. But Chelsea did well against Spurs. Like Mike said, they took the game to Spurs and Spurs got a point out of it. So both teams didn't want to lose that game. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, my thoughts on this is Arsenal did well against Man U, winning 1-0. Man City, Liverpool, don't know really that much about it because I didn't watch the game. Arsenal, Aston Villa, didn't really watch that either. Liverpool v Leicester, that was a good win for Liverpool. 3-0 win, but Leicester were just not on the day, didn't turn up. Leeds v Arsenal, all I heard was it was a fair result for both sides. Nicolas Pepe getting sent off for what was the headbutt, and I'm glad, to be honest, he deserved to be sent off, but the death threats and all that he and other people in that game got were not the right things to do. Spurs, Man City, can't remember much about that. So Mo Salah testing positive for COVID as well. That was a shock, but obviously he was allowed to play in the Champions League because he provided a negative test before they could play one of their Champions League games. I can't remember which one that was. Liverpool v Brighton, they had obviously 2 goals ruled out by VAR, and Brighton scoring a last-minute penalty. That was in the 1-1 draw for Liverpool-Brighton. Arsenal-Wolves, I watched that as Mike was commentating on that with Kieran on RS Media, and it was probably the best game Wolves had played this season. Wolves were unfortunate to not go in a lot more, but it was the fair result for Wolves. Chelsea v Spurs, I heard this was probably the best game, even though it was a 0-0 draw. They said that both sides played really well. And then obviously Spurs went into the weekend being top of the league.
Just wanted to come in on that Mo Salah COVID test and also the injury to Raul Jimenez a little bit as well with that collision with David Luiz in the Arsenal and Wolves game. So, first of all, I'm glad that Mo Salah was able to play in the Champions League. Shows that, he was able to provide a negative test again. So that's great news. It's a little bit like what happened with Kieran Tierney with Scotland as well. He was able to play for Arsenal on the back of providing a couple of negative tests. And the one with Raul Jimenez there, I think that was just a nasty looking injury. I know that Kieran on the stream yesterday, the Wolves and Liverpool stream, said that he was back at home now, recovering at home. So that's great news as well. Of course, David Luiz, everyone wants to wish him all the best as well. Wasn't involved in that Arsenal squad yesterday, and that'd be down to his part in that as well, the head injury that he got in that game with the same collision. So hopefully he's back soon as well and recovering and everything. But no, of course, you touched on it briefly with the Liverpool and Brighton game as well. That game was, a great performance from Brighton. I think they deserved the point that they got at the end as well with the penalty against Liverpool there. And, it's a good away point for Brighton as well. But that's it really in terms of that. I think we'll move on.
What's your thoughts, Sean, on that Raul Jimenez injury?
Well, I hope he has a speedy recovery. No one wants to see a player go down with a clash of heads. It's not very nice to see. You know what I mean? Like, but I hope he has a speedy recovery, and I hope he gets back on the football pitch really soon.
Right. The next segment that we're going to go into is going to be the fans returning to stadiums from the 2nd of December 2012. So that was when the second lockdown in England had finished. We are saying that fans in Tier 3 weren't allowed to go to the game. Fans in Tier 2 were allowed to go to 2,000 or a minimum of 50% of their capacity. And if you were in Tier 1, you were allowed 4,000 and your full capacity of the 4,000. So I have two different views to this. My first view is, I'm glad to see fans back in stadiums. But two, is it safe to do so? And with most stadiums in England, all have a roof over. They're really enclosed and all that. I mean, 2,000 fans in most stadiums, because the only stadium that has the only county that has Tier 1 is Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly. So I think it's probably not the best decision to have them back this side of Christmas, but some fans were allowed to go back for the games over the weekend, which there was a few incidents over it, which we'll talk about in the December podcast, which will be in January, the first week of January. But my thoughts on it are very slim. What's your thoughts on this, Mike?
So I think it's actually good to get fans back in. I know it's, it might be a little bit rushed. I know there's the new tier system now where, Tier 1 is obviously allowed the 4,000 or the capacity, as you said there, up to 4,000. And then the Tier 2 being the 50% or the 2,000 or the Tier 3 just remaining the same. And I think that's actually quite sensible to do it in that tier system. I think that, the clubs are very well they've got all their safety officers in place. They've set that all up, and it's very, that's all set up, ready to go with the socially distance, and, they put it in place where people are allowed to stand, and where there's got to be a space and a gap between somebody standing here and not standing, right on top of them, standing a little bit further over and stuff. So I think it's quite a sensible move, and of course it's going to improve the atmosphere for players as well. They're going to be, loving the fact that there's fans in the stadium again now, even though it's only a small number, mostly season ticket holders. They're going to be more likely to get up for these games and stuff as well. So, it's great to have them back in. I do kind of agree with where you're coming from. I do sort of relate to that as well, that it might not be completely safe to do so, but I do think that, just getting some fans in is better than having none in at all. And then hopefully we can move on from there. And, it looks like all of the stadiums have put in hand sanitizer and security checks and everything like that in place as well, just to make sure that, anyone that has got a symptom or is feeling a little bit unwell won't be able to attend and will be turned away at the door. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on this, Sean?
Well, having some fans back is better than no fans at all. You could tell that some teams are struggling without fans, like AKA Arsenal. We can say that our fans we've missed the fans really, to be honest, because I don't know if we play well without the fans or we play well with the fans.
With the fans as well, because actually Europa League,
yeah.
I thought, when the first game back, when we had the fans in for the Europa League, there was a big bounce. There was a big boost, even though it was 2,000.
Yeah.
Just to hear, just for the players to actually hear, support made a big impact.
Yeah.
For them,
yeah. So but I understand. I understand where other people's views on it as well. Like they're their fear of safety as well. Like because I'm in tier 3, so I can't go to the game because of the strict guidelines. So it's going to be hard. But I don't think I'll be ever returning to a game anytime soon unless it's safe for me to do so. But I'm happy for the fans to be back as long as they keep to the guidelines and keep safe and attend the game as happy as they can be, really.
Yeah. So we'll move swiftly on. And this is the next one. It's on the passing of Diego Maradona and Papa Bouba Diop passing as well at the age of 42, and the 8-year anniversary of former Stevenage central midfielder Mitchell Cole. So I'm going to let Mike have his say on this first.
Yeah, so first of all, we'll touch on the Maradona one. Everyone remembers him for the hand of God, and that is where a lot of England fans remember him for. And of course for the I think it was the 1994. Was it 1994 World Cup?
No, it was 1986 World Cup.
Yeah, but no. I think it was 1994 where he was sent home as well for drugs.
Oh, 94, yeah.
Yeah. And so that's another thing that people remember him for. But he was a fantastic player. Take that game against England in 1986 there. The second goal that he scored, that is still one of the all-time greatest World Cup goals. And, he's a fantastic talent and a player that we've lost far too soon. He was an advocate for South American football, Mexican football. He was an ambassador over there. And just a shame to see him pass on. And, same with Papa Bouba Diop as well. I remember him playing for the likes of West Ham, the Senegalese centre midfielder there. And he was only young, as you said, in his 40s. And I'm not sure what that was due to, his passing there. But, of course, that was a shock when I saw that one, because I remember him bossing teams in midfield in the Premier League and the Senegalese national team and that as well. And, of course, the anniversary of Mitchell Cole, the 8-year anniversary. Of course, Mitchell Cole, as you said, played for Stevenage, Southend, and a number of other Football League teams as well. As part of that Stevenage side that got promoted out of the conference, scored one of the goals in the FA Trophy final as well, which was the first game at the new Wembley Stadium where Stevenage were 2-0 down and turned it around to win 3-2. He got the first goal in that one, the one that, really kind of helped Stevenage kick on and, gave Stevenage a little bit of confidence moving forward to go forward on the back of getting one goal to go and get 2 and then get 3 at the end as well and to win the game. Really nice guy, Mitchell Cole as well. I met him a couple of times when he played for the club, and, Stevenage fans do a tournament for him as well, the Mitchell Cole tournament that takes place every year. I don't think it's been able to take place this year due to the pandemic. So hopefully that's going to be back underway again next year as normal. And Mitchell Cole, fantastic player, real talent at that level. Could have easily gone on to higher levels as well. And, it's a shame that, those 3 guys have passed away at such young ages as well, especially in Mitchell Cole and Papa Bouba Diop being the ages that they were. So yeah, big rest in peace to those three. And you know, I'll hand over to Sean because I just it's very sad to hear that they've passed away. And of course, they're all players that, you know, Mitchell Cole from a Steenish perspective is up there as one of the legends of the club, even though he was only, I think, in his mid-20s when he passed away. And of course, Papa Bouba Diop for the likes of West Ham and stuff as well. And Maradona, big rest in peace to those three. And yeah, I'll let you take over, Sean.
Well, what an absolute player Maradona was! Absolute fantastic player in his time. One of the great legends that to ever grace a football pitch, and he'll be sadly missed. The strangest one was Papa Diop, whatever his name, Papa Diop. He's still like. There's also other players that passed away as well, like the Tottenham coach, is it Ekiel or whatever his name was that he passed? He was a young age as well. So then there was Gary Speed. He was a young age as well. So it shocked the whole. You know what I mean? No matter what age you are, you know what I mean. It's sad. It's so sad. You know what I mean? I just hopefully that my thoughts go out to their families at that time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something I didn't say as well. I just wanted to say thoughts go out to all of their families and friends and ex-teammates and everyone that played with them. Mitchell Cole, actually, his wife put out a tribute on Facebook as well, you know, because they had some kids together as well. And of course, Joe Cole was another big name that, you know, is a part of Mitchell Cole's family. And they all came down for a tournament. Mitchell Cole had a game down here as well, memorial game where lots of the former West Ham players, Joe Cole and Mark Noble and James Collins and stuff, all came down and took part in that one, as well as some former Steenish players that played alongside Mitchell Cole and, you know, other club legends and stuff as well. Barry Howells and stuff played in that game, as well as, you know, Andy Carroll and stuff, who all played for West Ham. And that was organised by Mitchell Cole. And that was that was a couple of years back now, but that was a great day as well. And yeah, big thoughts go out to all of their families at this very difficult time. And, you know, hopefully they're able to hold on to the good memories.
Yeah, my thoughts totally understandable, and respect to Diego Maradona. I mean, he was a legend. I mean, the hand of God in '86 wasn't what every England fan would want to be reminded of, but I mean, he cheated his way to winning the World Cup because that helped Mexico get into the next round. But he was a great footballer, great talent, and he will be sadly missed by everyone and all footballing fans. Papa Bouba Diop, who is the former Portsmouth Fulham central midfielder, who was one of the goal scorers for Senegal in 2002 against France, who were obviously the World Cup holders then. Sadly, he's passed away at the age of 42. I really do feel for his family as well. I feel for Diego's family as well. I mean, age 60 as well. And the Mitchell Cole 8-year anniversary, that's come around a lot quicker than I expected. But big, massive rest in peace to all three of them. And the next thing and the final thing we're going to talk about is the FA Cup third round draw that was taking place last Monday, 30th of November 2020. Me and Mike did a live draw with this with Kieran.
No, I think it was me and you and Brad, actually, who were part of the draw.
Me, you and Brad.
Yeah.
And there was some standout draws in this, but I'll run you through the FA Cup third round draw, which is set to be played over the weekend commencing the 8th of January 2021. So the games are Huddersfield versus Plymouth Argyle, Southampton v Shrewsbury Town, Chorley versus Derby County, Marine v Tottenham Hotspur, Wolverhampton Wanderers versus Crystal Palace, Stockport County v West Ham United, Oldham Athletic v AFC Bournemouth, Manchester United v Watford, Stevenage v Swansea City, Everton v Rotherham United, Nottingham Forest v Cardiff City, Arsenal v Newcastle United, Barnsley v Sheffield United, Camvey or Bournemouth. I'm sure that was Camvey that went through on that one. If anyone can go through. Well, whoever went through there played Millwall, Blackburn Rovers v Doncaster Rovers, Stoke City played Leicester City, Wycombe Wanderers played Preston North End, Crawley Town played Leeds United, Burnley v Milton Keynes Dons, Bristol City v Portsmouth, Queen's Park Rangers v Fulham, Aston Villa v Liverpool, Brentford v Middlesbrough, Manchester City v Birmingham City, Luton Town v Reading, Chelsea v Morecambe, Exeter City v Sheffield Wednesday, Norwich City v Coventry City, Blackpool v West Brom, Newport County v Brighton, and Cheltenham Town v Mansfield Town.
That's right. And Boreham Wood beat Canvey by 3-0. So they're the ones who go through to the third round to face Millwall, yeah?
Yeah. Thank you very much to Brad and Mike that have just said that. I mean, what I've got in front of me was what was done before the job, before that game kicked off. So, what's the standout games for you there, Sean?
Well, the biggest cheer of everyone in the FA Cup was that non-league team getting Spurs. That was the biggest cheer anybody could have. I'm so glad that a non-league club can go up against a Premier League club and they get to see 60,000, 1,600 supporters there. So that would be a big day out for all of them. The tickets will go. And that's what the FA Cup's all about. You know, not a non-league. You don't see these rare cup ties. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that, really, to be honest.
Yeah. Any other games that stand out for you?
Well, I think we got a good one in Newcastle. So we begin our defence of the FA Cup because we seem to win it every year. We should call it the Arsenal Cup, really, because we win it every year. But yeah, there's some right cracking ties. I think Plymouth's got a good one against Huddersfield. That would be a good day out for Plymouth as well. You know what I mean? I think Plymouth can cause an upset though. You know what I mean? Huddersfield are not that good in form, so there could be some good cup shocks. It's the magic of the FA Cup. You don't know, do you?
No. We'll go over to Mike on this.
So there's a couple of really good ties in there. So, you know, the one that has been mentioned is the big one, Marine Tottenham, the lowest ranked side in the competition against the side top of the Premier League. And it's Marine against Mourinho as well, as we were saying. So that's going to be an interesting one. And I know whatever side Spurs put out there, they'll definitely show Marine a lot of respect. Other games there, Chorley as well against Derby. That's a good tie for them. Not quite a Premier League tie, but Derby are a side that have been up in the Premier League in the past. And, you know, I'm sure their manager will be relishing coming up against Wayne Rooney as well. Plymouth and Huddersfield, as Sean said, there's a good opportunity for Plymouth to get an upset. Who else have we got in there? Yeah, Man United and Watford as well. Of course, Watford in the Championship now, and we've still got some good players who was with them on their books in the Premier League. Stevenage Swansea is the reward for beating Hull in the previous round on penalties. And of course, Swansea are up there in the Championship in the playoff places as well. And we touched on that one, didn't we, afterwards, with the fact that I'd spoken to Freddie Woodman, the Swansea goalkeeper who's on loan from Newcastle's dad, who, of course, I've spoken to him on an interview stream that I do, and I sent him a little text saying, "Do you mind telling your son to let a few past him?" Didn't get a reply. Didn't expect one, but I didn't get one either. Of course, Arsenal-Newcastle is a tricky tie for Arsenal at the moment, the way that this season's panning out. But as Sean said, it's the FA Cup, and Arsenal just love that competition. So, it might be an opportunity to take a bit of respite away from the league. It might be a good time to do that. Other fixtures in there, Boreham Wood, Millwall as well. Is a good tie for Boreham Wood. Of course, they won that last one 3-0 against Canvey. So they've got a home tie there. Who else have we got in there? Crawley against Leeds as well. Of course, Newport County have beaten Leeds, and that was when they were in League Two. So Leeds could, have to be at the top of their game to, sort of avoid complacency in that one, because they have been beaten by a side from that division before. Who else have we got? Aston Villa and Liverpool is a standout as well, because those sides have already met in the Premier League this season, and we all know what happened there with Villa running riot in a 7-2 thrashing over the reigning champions. And I think it's going to be a completely different tie and than what the Premier League tie was there, but that's going to be an interesting one as well. And you never know. Villa have shown up this season. They've shown that they can do it to Liverpool already, so you never know. And other than that, there was quite a few ties in there that I'm not really going to bother touching on. But yeah, the main one of the draw really is for Marine and Tottenham. And, it's going to be a great day for Marine and for any of the fans that are able to get tickets as well. And actually, one thing I did see, touching on Marine and Tottenham there, apart from the fact that their goalkeeper was an absolute legend, running to the offer license in his full kit, that had me in stitches. And of course, them dancing around the changing room as well. The one thing I did see was that there's numbers on the gates of the doors. So basically, what could happen is if the ball was put over by, say, Son or Harry Kane into someone's garden, they'll go and knock on their door and ask for their ball back. So it's basically like sort of, playing park football again, which is quite interesting.
Yeah. So my thoughts on this, or these FA Cup third round draws. I mean, I think Argo will get past Huddersfield because it's the magic of the FA Cup. Marine v Tottenham, as everyone else has said, I think it's probably one of the standout ties of the weekend. It's probably going to be the one that's going to be covered the most on all BBC broadcasting sites, all over the world as well. I think that will get broadcasted. I think Stockport getting West Ham as well. That's a good draw for them. Stevenage getting Swansea City after knocking out Ho in the previous round on penalties. Good draw, I think that is as well. Boreham Wood against Millwall, I think it's a good draw as well. The next one you got to talk about is Stoke City versus Leicester City. It's an old Midland derby, that. And I think Leicester will pull out favoured winners in that game. You got Crawley Town v Leeds, which is where Harry Kewell managed managed Crawley and played for Leeds. Bristol City Portsmouth could be another shock on the cards. Brentford Middlesbrough in the All Championship game, which they've played earlier in the season, and I think it was a narrow 0-0. Well, it was actually a 0-0 draw. Aston Villa v Liverpool, I think that'll be totally different to the 7-2 defeat that Liverpool suffered earlier on in the season. Man City versus Birmingham, I think Man City will walk that. Luton Town v Reading, another All Championship side. And I'm going to say this, it's a big rest in peace to former Plymouth Argyle player and and Luton Town captain dad Ray Bradley, who sadly passed away earlier on last week. So hopefully Sonny can get back in the team and get playing. Chelsea v Morecambe. Well, this is a good one because there's 3 or 4 ex-Argo players in this team who would have been who played for Argo when we played Liverpool. And who the manager was Derek Adams. Now, Derek Adams is the manager of Morecambe, where he's now taken Jordan Slew, Tumani Diagoraga, Kelvin Meller, and a few others, Jan Songo, all to Stamford Bridge to play them. So I think that's a good choice for them and a good draw for them. Exeter City getting Sheffield Wednesday. I think Exeter City have played really well this season. Sheffield Wednesday are not playing the best. And if both sides do well before now and the FA Cup draw, it'd be a very good game because Exeter City are flying in League Two and Sheffield Wednesday are not flying as much in the Championship. So hopefully there might be a shock there. Norwich City v Coventry. I think that could be a good Championship tie. Blackpool v West Brom. I think Blackpool might just edge this, but who knows? Newport v Brighton is another draw. I think Newport, who have pulled off some shocks in recent years, beating the likes of Leicester, Middlesbrough. They were unfortunate to not beat Man City a few years ago as well. So I think that's a good draw as well for Newport. And then the All League Two draw tie is Cheltenham Town v Mansfield. I think that's probably going to be a cagey game, but I think Cheltenham will get through. Mansfield are not doing well in League Two. Cheltenham are flying, I think, in League Two as well. So I think that could be a win for Cheltenham there. So that was the end of the FA Cup draw. And I think that is everything from that we've got to talk about.
And the latest result, it's just finished. Brighton 1, Southampton 2.
Because I've got 2 things I wanted to bring up in regards to that FA Cup draw.
Wow.
So the Newport game against Brighton, of course, Newport, as you said, a side that have caused a few upsets in the past. And the one game that we didn't touch on, I wanted to touch on just briefly as well, was between QPR and Fulham, the London derby there. And that one's going to be a tasty draw as well. And I'm looking forward to that one. Hopefully that one will get some coverage as well. Because that's, QPR could actually upset Fulham there and go on and win that one. So, I think we want to try and keep it under an hour, didn't we? So I'll let you wrap it up, Ray. Just wanted to bring in that final talking point about QPR and Fulham. Just bring that one in briefly.
Very, very greatly. I think that'd be a good game as well, actually. So thanks to Mike, Sean, and Russ. Obviously, Russ dropped out due to internet technical issues. But thank you very much for everyone for joining. And we'll see you all again in January when we bring the December podcast. And I hope you all have a great Christmas and a very good New Year.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a great Christmas.